Hello, everyone. This is Babette. I'll be your English conversation partner for this lesson. How much English should I study each day? Part 1. So first, we'll read the entire passage one time at a native speed, and then we'll focus on the details of the blue sentences, blue highlighted and underlined sentences. So let's begin. How much English should I study each day? How much should I study English each day? That's a great question. A super common question students ask me all the time. How much should I study English? 30 minutes a day, 40 minutes today, an hour? What's the best? Well, the best would be 24 hours a day. But of course, you probably have to sleep eventually, and you probably have a life. You probably have a job, or you're going to school. Maybe you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife or a husband. You may have children. So you have a busy life. So obviously for most people, studying English 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, it's not possible. It's too much. And that's okay because it's not necessary. So my best answer for you is at least 1 hour per day total. So if you can listen to English, study and learn English 1 hour per day, that's a good amount that will help you improve steadily. You will improve by doing 1 hour a day. Now, if you're very busy, maybe 1 hour still seems like a lot. Like, oh, 1 hour a day, that's a lot. But it's actually not so tough if you break it into pieces. So, for example, 1 hour a day, you can listen to English 15 minutes when you wake up in the morning. Later, when you're going to work or going to school or you're cleaning the house, you can listen to English again for 15 minutes. Now, you have 30 minutes that day. Then later, when you're coming home or your kids go to school or you're on a bus or driving, you could listen for another 15 minutes. Now, you're up to 45. And then finally, before going to bed, you can listen to English again for 15 more minutes. That's 1 hour, right? Just little small pieces through the day. Anyone can do that. You can certainly do that. That gives you the minimum 1 hour per day. Do that, and your English definitely will improve. Your listening will improve, and your speaking will improve. Now that we have a feel for the passage at a native pace, let's take a look in more detail at the blue text and the underlined text. How much should I study English each day? First, let's start with the phrase, how much? How much talks about quantity. It's a number. How much of some number of things. Should means to give advice, a suggestion. We could say make a suggestion or make a recommendation. So here we're asking for a certain number, a quantity, and then we're asking for a suggestion. Can you advise us? Can you make a suggestion about how much time that I should study? An example sentence might be, how much time should I spend on this project? Similar to our question here, how much should I study English each day? I'm looking for a number, an amount of time. How much should I study in a day? How much time should I spend on this project? I'm hoping for advice or a suggestion about time and amount. That's a great question, a super common question. Students ask me all the time. Students ask me all the time. Okay, let's pay attention here to the underline word, ask. So ask is a verb to request information from someone. When you're asking, you're making a request for information. Here, we're asking someone for a suggestion on how much time to study. Students are usually the ones making this request. Can you please tell me how much I need to study? This here phrase, all the time. This means always, often, or frequently. So really, we are emphasizing all the time. We're emphasizing how common a question this is. It's super common. I'm always being asked it all the time, very frequently. That's how common a question this is, coming from students. So here's an example. Students should frequently ask the teacher questions. So this is a good practice to have. It's okay to ask these questions of your instructor or to ask for advice. All right, let's continue. Students, learners, they want to know, is there a secret to learning English that can help me learn quicker, better, more efficiently? So let's find out. What does this writer suggest? Well, the best, of course, would be 24 hours a day. All day long. All day long, you should be studying English. Let's look at this more closely. 24 hours a day. $24 a day. This means all day long. A day is 24 hours. It takes you 24 hours a day, meaning it takes you the whole day. You should be studying the whole day. Now, if we look at this underlined word here, a day. A day. Let's look at this. What is a day talking about? Well, here is what we like to call an article in English. You have a and an. Okay? These are articles in English. And so what these things do is they usually sit in front of a singular noun. So sit in front of a single noun, meaning they sit in front of something that is one of something. So really, they were referring to one of something. Okay, so here, day, we're talking about one day, a day. And they mean the same thing. We just use them a little differently. So for example, is going to come in front of a word that starts with a consonant. Day. This is singable. This is singular. You can count it. A day. It's one day. On the other hand, an, still singular, still means one, but this an is going to come in front of a vowel. So A, E, I, O, or U. For example, apple. An apple, one apple. A day, one day. These two things are articles. And they're always going to mean something singular, something one. So we're talking about 24 hours, a set time, an amount of time in one day. But of course, you would probably have to sleep eventually. Of course, probably you would have to sleep eventually. This is our key word here, eventually. Eventually. So eventually means in the end. And in this sentence, it's talking about a verb, okay? So a verb here, you probably have to sleep. To sleep is a verb. Eventually is talking about sleeping. In the end, you're going to have to sleep. So an example sentence, how we could use this in another way. I eventually found my wallet and car keys. So we're describing the verb found. So I found my wallet and car keys eventually. In the end, at last, I found my wallet and car keys, which are very important to find. So how do we use this? Well, eventually is usually placed before our verb, but it can be also moved to the end. So here we have it at the end of our sentence, our verb to sleep. And here we have it at the beginning. I eventually found my wallet and